Today on One, Always There.
Today on One, your daily dose of local affairs and social media commentary.
Today on One, COVID-19 affects PDM election budget. Ombudsman urges SGBV protesters to report human rights abuses. Sun calls for the removal of Higher Education Minister. And petroleum giants reach out to taxi operators.
The Popular Democratic Movement PDM announced their official candidate list for 2020 regional council and local authority elections, while stressing that the financial budget remained unchanged compared to last year's general elections.
To funds, it's true that we have a lot that we have invested last year in elections. We will do the same this year, although we know that the COVID challenges, even our fundings and all these things have challenges. It's not as smooth as you know. We have some challenges even in our funding, but we'll do everything to do that. And if you have seen, if you follow social media, these candidates are even started to do their personal information. That never happened before, where we take a candidate profile and say, put their pictures and they're out there and say, I'm a local authority councillor, I'm this and I'm that for their people in their communities. And we are going to do more social media interventions. We are going to do more door-to-doors, open markets and so on, but we are not going to have big billboards and whatever, like what I see some of the competitors are coming with. But for this election, these people will be in bus stops everywhere. The bus stops, at the taxi ranks, in the malls will go all over. The leaders will be with them. You will see our presence more than before.
At a press conference, PDM Secretary General Manuel Karangombe announced that they have conducted interviews to elect their candidates as it was not possible to vote due to the COVID-19 regulations.
My brother, I already said it last year, and I will say it to you again today. We don't blame electorates for not wanting to vote. We have to blame us, the service deliveries, us who serves the people. People does not see why should I vote if I'm not getting the response that I need, if I'm not given the services that I want. I will give you an example of when you are banking money. When you go to any bank institution to bank money, you invest money, you invest so that you can get interest and eat from it. If I invest and I got interest, I will not have a reason not to invest. Last year, we have the same challenges. PDM go out, all out. We sell our manifestos, we sell our objectives, and people come in numbers and they voted. With the COVID-19, there is a lot of challenges this year that might lead to voters' apathy, but we will do a lot of voters' education. We will have a vigorous campaign, and believe you me, young people will vote us. Young people will vote the other young people that are on this list. And you will also see our local authority councillors list. We have a lot of young people, and we have the diversity of the Namibian people by skill, by race and color, by their experiences, and so forth.
The PDM has some young candidates on its list that will be contesting, and the Secretary General is confident that they will get support from the fellow Namibian youth come November.
We all know that we have the challenge of COVID-19. And it's not only PDM, most political parties, except you have seen a lot of pictures of independent candidates, because as I say, they don't have systems, they don't have structures, they don't have processes. It's just what you decide. But for political parties, we have a challenge because of the COVID-19 regulations, a lot of lockdowns and so on. It's also that you see that most of our candidates have gone through vigorous interviews to mitigate the COVID-19 regulations. We did not have 300 people to come and elect them and so on. So these people will go through a serious interview panel for them to be here. So yes, we had a challenge and we started really late.
With less than a month before the regional council and local authority elections, the PDM is gearing up to take control of the country at grassroots level.
I'm in a meeting.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Okay, let's get right into it. Can we talk about the Q2 fiscal report? Ricardo, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Pewa. Well, it's clear we're feeling the economic headwinds. Profits have leveled and we're...
First place!
Sorry, guys, it's my dad.
Did you hear? I'm in first place. And I just broke the lap record.
Dad? I'm a bit busy here.
Oh.
Okay. Where?
Oh, sorry.
2020 just got crazier in a good way. You can now enjoy fast, reliable and uncapped internet at 25 megabits per second with SpeedLink Light Plus at crazy prices starting from as little as 898 Namibian dollars. Telecom Namibia.
Sharing your world.
Children's advocate Ingrid Husselman has urged the youth who took part in the hashtag Shut It All Down demonstration in Windhoek and became victims of police brutality and human rights abuses to file a complaint with the Office of the Ombudsman. The youth-led hashtag Shut It All Down protest gained international attention as videos and pictures surfaced on social media depicting riot police allegedly committing human rights abuses, mostly against young women who were protesting against gender-based violence and anti-femicide. The riot police responded by throwing tear gas canisters and smoke grenades and in some instances used brutal force against the youthful protesters. Today on One spoke to the children's advocate at the Office of the Ombudsman, which holds the mandate to promote and protect human rights, to hear what they have to say about the recent demonstrations.
When people make allegations regarding violations or threats of violations of human rights, they can certainly come and complain to the Ombudsman's office, because this is what the Ombudsman is. It's an individual complaint receiving body. But when people's rights are violated, as in the case of the protesters, for instance, people must remember that there are remedies for these types of things. So your first avenue would be to lay a criminal complaint, because this is assault and it must be dealt with in terms of criminal law. You can also institute civil proceedings to claim damages for the physical harm or otherwise that was caused by you. And then the police also have measures in place to discipline their staff members. So if a certain complaint is made with the police, they will investigate the matter, and which may result in the dismissal from the force of a particular member. So first, these avenues must be explored, and if then members of the public don't get the required assistance, then they are more than welcome to approach the Ombudsman's office, and we will give them assistance in order to get services from where they need to get services.
According to Husselman, Namibia's criminal justice system is under a serious burden, especially due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw some offenders of SGBV being released as the courts were closed. Husselman also added that other avenues must be explored to address GBV, such as education, which can be a tool to combat harmful cultural gender-based stereotypes.
Our criminal justice system in Namibia is definitely under a very serious burden, and so I know that fighting gender-based violence has been a problem in Namibia for a long time, and doing so under the auspices of a pandemic is even worse, because the courts were closed, and so the backlog in the criminal cases is already made worse, and then certain offenders were released from jail just to try and curb the pandemic also under these circumstances. But at the Ombudsman, we believe that perhaps the criminal justice system is not the only avenue in which to fight this problem of gender-based violence. Perhaps a bit more focus on education and trying to fight the gender stereotypes that exist culturally in Namibia is probably also another avenue to try and address this issue.
The Action Coalition and Editors Forum of Namibia have also condemned the actions by the police, saying that they committed human rights abuses on the youthful protesters, who were mostly women. They also called on the Minister of Safety and Security and the Police Inspector General to jointly institute a public inquiry into the police response to the protests and to develop gender sensitivity training for all police officers.
Calls have been made to have the Minister of Higher Education, Training and Innovation removed from heading the ministry as a result of her political interference in the affairs and governance of various higher learning institutions.
But we know the reason why these things are collapsing. The reason is very clear that Dr. Ita Morangi is conflicted in this education sector. Her family owns an institution of learning that is called University of Likonvik or something like that. It's operating here in Windhoek, the Park Foods area. And it's owned by the husband and the child. So those are the proxies of the minister.
The call was made by the Students' Union of Namibia, who expressed concern over the prolonged absence of permanent heads for various institutions under the Ministry of Higher Learning, Training and Innovation, such as NESFAV, NAST, NIMT, WVTC and the NTA, of which as a result have been deteriorating.
And when we say they remain headless, we are saying that they don't have CEOs or they don't have managing directors. That is happening because it's actually a deliberate effort or a deliberate action by the minister to make sure that these institutions are headless, so she's able to place puppets or people that are able to dance to her tunes. So when we speak about this institution, we are speaking about the Namibian Financial Assistance Fund, which is NASFAF, that gives loans to students. It has been without a CEO for far too long. It has been a mess. Students are not getting paid. Students are getting rejected. So the whole problem with NASFAF, it's not a money issue. They get allocated around 1.5 billion by Treasury, but year in, year out, the struggle of students continue. Tuition fee not paid, non-tuition not paid, students getting rejected, and all those type of problems. So what is happening specifically with that institution is that until today, we only have an acting CEO, meaning it's someone that minister just placed there, so she's able to listen and hear. So basically, it's putting puppets to run this institution, and it's really collapsing the whole education.
The union further stressed the importance of the mentioned state-owned enterprises within the education sector, further calling on the intervention of the head of state to reappoint another head for the higher education ministry, as according to them, Dr. Ita Morangi is incapable of running the ministry.
So we are calling upon the president to reconsider and give us someone that is capable, someone that is fit to run that strategic institution such as the Ministry of Higher Education, because Dr. Ita Morangi is clearly unfit and is unable to run this ministry. Firstly, she's conflicted. Secondly, is someone that thrives on chaos and political vacuum. When there's no people, that's how she thrives, because she's able to bulldoze systems and do all those things to her own personal benefit. So that's why we're also sending out this clarion call to say the president must hear us. We don't want to protest, especially in this pandemic of COVID-19, but we are simply saying, Mr. President, hear us. Dr. Kanji Morangi is collapsing the education sector.
Petroleum giants Vivo Energy Namibia, Puma Energy, Namibian Petroleum Corporation and Total Namibia join hands to curb the spread of COVID-19 by donating sanitizers and face masks to the taxi industry worth 300,000 Namibian dollars.
My name is Ndeweka Nwana. I'm a taxi driver at Windhoek. I'm here to listen what they're telling us about sanitizer. We are ready to give what they'll give us.
With taxis being one of the greatest consumers of petrol in Namibia, the petroleum giants came to the industry's aid in the fight against COVID-19 by donating sanitizers and face masks to use during their daily operations. The Minister of Mines and Energy at the launch applauded the petroleum giants for the initiative and urged the taxi drivers to adhere to the COVID-19 regulations.
Like most sectors of the economies, the transport industry, specifically the taxi industry, has obviously been affected by the COVID-19 because of the measures that were taken, very painful measures, but unfortunately those measures were very necessary for us to be able to curb the spread of the virus, which is quite a good sign that the measures have worked. But we should also not relax or lower our guard, simply not because the numbers are low. I think we should continue to adhere to the health protocols that has been continually being advised by the government through the Minister of Health, to make sure that we wash our hands, to make sure that we wear our masks, to make sure that we social distance ourselves in ways not necessary. So those are the things we should still continue to do and not to lower our guard simply because of the numbers that are going down.
Emmanuel Mulunga, Managing Director of NAMCO, said that although the industry is tight, they had to come together in support of taxis to make sure that the industry continues to operate even with COVID-19 that impacted the economy negatively.
There comes a time when we are faced with a pandemic like this. All of us have to come together as an industry and actually cooperate in something. And this is one of those occasions. We have been called upon by our nation to come to the aid of our loyal customers, the taxi drivers, and obviously the commuters, to help with this taxi sanitizing campaign. All our companies that are represented here basically agreed to help us. We know that the COVID-19 epidemic is not yet over. We've seen in many areas of the world where the second wave is basically coming. The taxi industry is one of the largest segments that we sell to. They transport the largest part of our population on a daily basis. So it gives us great pleasure really to be associated with this campaign.
The face masks and sanitizers will be distributed at different taxi ranks across Windhoek until the 15th of December 2020.
In other leading stories, for the first time in the history of independent Namibia, a privately owned Namibian airline will operate a scheduled passenger route between Windhoek, Hosea Kutako International Airport and Johannesburg OR Tambo International Airport. Fly West Air announced in Windhoek that the schedule will start on Monday, the 2nd of November. Initially, there will be 2 scheduled flights per week designed to connect with various international airlines through Johannesburg. One such connection is with Qatar Airways that recently abruptly cancelled its direct flights to Windhoek. Fly West Air will also restart its direct flights to Cape Town from Windhoek with Siya Kutako International Airport. These flights will commence on Friday, the 23rd of October, and will consist of 2 flights per week every Monday and Friday. Since domestic travel restrictions were lifted, Fly West Air has also been operating 2 flights per week between Ondangwa and Eros Windhoek each Friday and Sunday. These frequencies will increase with the addition of a midweek flight between Eros Windhoek and Ondangwa every Wednesday, starting on the 28th of October. Flights can be booked through all major travel agencies as well as the West Air Reservations office. At the University of Namibia, third-year student social workers organized and coordinated a cleanup campaign in Greenwell Matongo C-Zone, Samora Machel constituency recently as part of their generalist practice module. The group is expected to undertake practical work through work-integrated community service learning to translate their social work theory into practice in the 7 constituencies around Windhoek. The placement of the students was organized by the UNAM Social Work Department in close collaboration with the respected constituency councillors under the guidance and supervision of Dr. Rachel Freeman, Senior Lecturer for Social Work at the University of Namibia. The project aimed to address the issue of a dirty and unhygienic environment caused by excessive littering and open defecation, which poses a health threat to the communities and can lead to the spread of diseases such as hepatitis E.
Welcome to Comments Corner, your daily dose of local comments from the hottest social media pages. The city of Windhoek, in collaboration with stakeholders, continues to hand out land occupation certificates to informal settlement inhabitants. Some of the residents reject the initiative, claiming that they remain vulnerable to evictions and that they prefer a deed of sale as they have occupied the land for decades. Kemp said elections are around the corner and now people are getting plots. Bernardino said that people should accept the certificates and see what will happen in the future. Uncle K said this is the best time to grab land. Fidelius said people should not accept the certificates as there is no such thing when it comes to acquiring plots in a municipal town. Fabian said the people of Achterland are wise and will not be manipulated by lawmakers. Various journalists from respective media houses in Namibia were met with intimidation and assault from the University of Namibia staff who denied the media access to cover the Shut It All Down hashtag nationwide protests aimed at ending sexual and gender-based violence against women. Chess wants to know what the protesters were doing at the university and the logic behind the campaign. Andrea said that people are not educated on the role of the media and those found hindering journalists from doing their work should be punished. Viola said the journalists seem to be asking the wrong person who is giving them permission to be recorded. And that is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day only on Today and One.
Win free airtime with #LearnOn1. Share your comments on the lessons. SMS your feedback, name and town to 555. #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
A look at the weather forecast. First, an advisory from the Windhoek Met Office. Heat wave conditions will prevail in the far north and in the Klaris region, so please do take the necessary precautions. The Namibia interior partly cloudy and hot to very hot with a few thunder showers over the central northern areas and the west at places. The coast partly cloudy and cool with a few showers in the north, and the wind moderate to fresh northwesterly to southwesterly. Now we look at minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
My name is Ban Ki-moon. I am Secretary General of the United Nations. I was born in Korea. I was 6 years old when the Korean War started. We had to run from our homes to the mountainside. We could see my village burning. The United Nations saved my family and my country. In my time as a Secretary General, I have been moved by the horrors of humanity, and I have been inspired by his heroes. I have wept at the memorials for victims in Auschwitz, Srebrenica, and Rwanda. I have dealt with tragedies that have gone on for decades, and disasters that destroyed whole societies overnight. I have also mourned too many courageous United Nations staff members who died serving the cause of peace. I believe in having a young mindset. This means standing up to injustice. I hope I will never be too old to ask leaders tough questions. I hope I will always have the energy to speak out for what is right. I think that keeps us young.